it's just good to have you here, Patrick. Let's get started as quickly as we can on how much money can I make in this particular business.
Yeah, if I were starting a business right now, Eric, I think that'd be almost the number one question that I had. First of all, do I have any interest at all in that particular business?
Right.
Is it a real business? I think that would be one of the questions I'd ask. But then the second one would be, how fast can I get my investment back? Because if I'm going to invest $26,000 or $250,000, I want to know how fast can I get that back, because it's only when you get that initial investment back that you have profit, that you're showing a profit. So,
and folks, just a quick reminder here again, while we're going through this whole presentation this afternoon, feel free to ask us some questions. Go in there. We're going to talk to you about a lot of different things. So if we don't get to your question right away, it doesn't mean that we don't see it. We're going to get to it as quickly as we can. So Patrick.
Hey, and you left one guy hanging there, Hamid. From Pleasanton, California.
Pleasanton, California. Well, for some reason, he's not showing up on my question there, but I'm glad you caught him there. So it's good to make sure that we have him there too as well. All right, so folks, we're going to talk about ROI, return on investment. And so as you're looking at this, obviously, as Patrick just mentioned, how much money you invested, how quickly can I get that return? So that's what we've got here, Patrick. Basically, as we're looking at this, the simplicity of what's a return on your investment is, if I invest $50,000, how quickly can I get to a break even on my investment? And that's how quickly can I get that replaced right back in my pocket?
Yeah. Now before we go too far, Eric, let me just say this: that the standard out there, the average business, new business in America, small business that started, does not see a return on their investment for, are you ready? 26 months.
Right.
So that means if you're out of the, so you're in the red until then, right? Until you get your initial investment back, you're still in the red. You haven't shown a profit. The ink hadn't turned black. That doesn't happen for 2 years for most businesses in America. So it'll be interesting to see if people who are looking into our business thinks that that's normal. Wait till you see how fast it can be with this business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you can also, I think we've got some, I believe on our YouTube page, I believe we've got a testimonial from one of our licensees that says she actually got hers even less than a year. So her return on her investment within less than a year. So folks, it can happen that quickly on your ROI. So what we're going to be talking about here, when we're looking at ROI here, we want to talk about 3 different areas as we get started here. First of all, it's obviously your investment. And we're not talking not necessarily your investment of time. We're talking about real hard assets, your cash, the money that you have to take out of your bank account to give to a franchise or a business opportunity to invest in yourself. We're going to talk about that. The second part of it is the return. So what kind of return are we looking for, which means, how much, and this is including all the ramp up and time it's going to take to finally get to success. Success is when you've got that full return on your investment. So you'll see these little icons throughout the webinar today. So we just want to make sure you understood what these stood for. You got your investment, your return, and that's going to be how you get everything ramped up and your clients and everything else going. And then finally, your success. Patrick, you want to add anything else to this before we start diving into this big comparison?
It's interesting because I know we do a lot of these webinars and we forget what we've said and what we haven't said, right, from time to time. Right. So I know that we haven't talked recently about the investment that we have, and as you'll see, we're going to get to some slides that actually illustrate this. But the investment in this business, folks, for a lot of people is very, very low. In fact, the biggest question we have when people finalize at the end of our week of training here in Dallas, the biggest question is why did you set the investment so low? Because once they see the potential, and you really can't even grasp it on this webinar, folks, it's after you've gone through our week's training here that the light bulbs will be going off. In fact, I tell people, if you're sleeping during this week of training, then you're not getting it. You just haven't quite grasped how big this can be, because it can be very, very profitable for people. And that investment, by the way, can be invested a lot of different ways. Some people have the money set aside. Some people need to go get a 401k and turn that into cash. Some people have relatives they can borrow money from. And Eric, as you know, we have people put this on credit cards,
right?
Plural, sometimes
right.
2 or 3 or 4 credit cards, right? Because in America, folks, there's nothing wrong with financing yourself, even though it's on a credit card, even though the interest could be high on a credit card. A lot of businesses, a lot that you know of by name, were started from their own personal credit card, limits that they have, credit.
Absolutely. I mean, just to get started on so many, I've heard several, and obviously most of the people I've ever seen that is in this business, and then how they get that return on their investment and pay off their credit cards or whatever loans that they may have, or put that back in their 401k. It certainly can be done. All right, so Patrick, whenever you and I and the rest of the team, this was really a collaborative type of webinar that we pulled together here, because we've got some folks that have some great knowledge even in our own camp, that have some good knowledge about how franchises work, how much they cost, and so we kind of wanted to stick with one in particular name that everybody kind of knows of whenever you start thinking about investments, and I'm going to put that up here on the screen right now, and that's the Subway franchise. Now, some people are going to be thinking right off the bat here, what does Subway sandwiches shops have to do with anything with what your business opportunity, Patrick?
Yeah, because our business, of course, is a service that you will be providing to doctors in your area to help them with their cash flow, with their revenue management. And so we're going to teach you how to increase the revenue for a doctor, sometimes up to 30–40%. And that means that the doctor can now stay in private practice rather than having to go to work for a hospital, for one thing. Or he can buy the equipment that he's needed, or he can expand his office staff. There's lots of things that they can do when they have more cash flow. And so that business, of course, is completely different from a Subway. And by the way, the difference also is that we're not a franchise. Subway is a franchise, meaning you have a territory that you're restricted to. With ours, there is no territory. Well, there is, I guess, the United States. They can sign up doctors anywhere in the United States. But there's also another big part that's not in a franchise, and that is that there's no ongoing royalty payments that you have to pay back to ABS. Once you've paid your initial license fee, the initial investment we're going to be talking about here, that's it. You'll never pay another penny back to American Business System. So, yeah, let's look at what kind of investment. What would it take, Subway, Eric, to get a Subway sandwich store open?
Well, obviously there is a franchise starting up fee, and that could just be right under $100,000, just about that, anywhere from $75,000 to $100,000. But that's not the full, what people might think of, Patrick, is the full ramp up investment. So we're talking about the storefront and then getting everything out, the advertisement. Excuse me, just to get the thing kicked off could be a minimum of $300,000 to $450,000 investment.
Yeah, Eric, you know that I have a friend, a personal friend, that a few years back, this has been probably 15 years ago now, but he told me that he wanted to earn a 6-figure income, and so he was going to start his own business. And I said, well, what type are you going to do? He said, well, I've looked into Subway sandwich, and I want to start one of those. Well, I didn't know a whole lot about Subway at that time, and it was only after he had been in business for a few months that he realized that the average return for a Subway owner is not 6 figures in the first year.
Yeah, and we're going to show that to you here just in just a second of what the average of that is. Matter of fact, whenever you get the ramp up and everything else going on, folks, your return with that first year, again, is going to be almost a tenth of what you've invested. So we're talking $30,000 to $45,000 your first year, seeing that as a return on your money.
Yeah, to me, that's going to take a long time, isn't it, Eric? I mean, that would take a whole lot of time, or maybe, like my friend, he eventually opened up 3 restaurants because he was only making about $35,000 a year on the first one, so he thought, well, I got to get 2 more, and he did. He opened up. Now, imagine working with teenagers who can't even clean their own rooms, 80 hours a week, and making that kind of money. It just didn't make any sense to me at all, but he's a business owner.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you think about it, to get there, there's either going to be one or two things that are going to need to happen. Either you stay in business for the next 10 years so that you get your return on your investment, right? I mean, $30,000 times 10 years is going to be $300,000. Or you could open up at least 10 restaurants, 10 more restaurants.
Right.
If that's what you want to do to get. And again, we're going to show you, really, folks, that's really your initial investment.
Yeah,
And
that's
so,
just to get back what you first had to put out to open that Subway, and then you start making some profits. But wow, if you open 10 restaurants, then Eric, wouldn't you have to have invested 300,000 times 10?
yeah, we're gonna get to that here too shortly. So let's talk a little bit and now kind of talk about the investment here with ABS, American Business Systems, and let's see the investment here. The investment here is $25,990, and at this point, people are going, okay, well, what about the ramp up here? Well, the ramp up here is that you get to work from your home. You don't have to go get a brick and mortar. Patrick, we get asked quite often, do I have to open up a front, some type of storefront office to run this type of business?
Yeah, now the lady that I interviewed, I think it was last week, I've slept since then, but Jennifer Boyd, she is out there on our website under our blog. You can watch the interview that I did with her, and you'll hear her say, folks, that with 3 accounts, she will make $100,000 her first year.
Right.
So she will return her investment pretty fast there. And we're going to tell you why our investment is so low in just a moment as well. There's a reason why we've set it where we've set it there at only about $26,000.
Absolutely. So there's your investment. Now let's talk about the return on your investment. Your return on your investment for the first year is going to be, even after all the ramp up, anywhere from $30,000 to $39,000. So we've got this pretty big, wide range there. And the reason we have that there, because $30,000 is really about the minimum of what you can get returned on your once you start working with one doctor. Now we're gonna show you how we actually get to these numbers. So a lot of people, I'm sure, Patrick, are scratching their heads. Now, how are they getting to that $30,000 to $39,000? But folks, if you remember, that's about what you're going to be making if you went into like a Subway franchise type of scenario. I mean, the difference that you can see so far is that you've invested about $300,000 as a minimum with Subway, getting just about the same amount of return on your first year.
Yeah, and I know you've broken this down here in some other slides, Eric, exactly how we got there. But basically, so you're saying that with one doctor, one client, their return on the investment can be $30,000 to $39,000.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. And we're going to show them how that works. So here's the success with that. Instead of trying to open up 10 restaurants with Subway to get your return on your investment, you're really, again, your initial return on your investment, folks, hopefully you can see here now with one doctor, just one doctor can get your return on investment. And that ought to encourage people, especially people that might be a little bit afraid, Patrick, and I'll put this into real perspective. Folks that might be a little bit afraid because they feel like they can't go out there and market themselves. This would encourage me a little bit to know that it's all I got to get is just one doctor. And what I'm hearing, Patrick, again from our licensees, is that we are eagerly helping our licensees get that first doctor.
Yes, and the reason we tell them that your goal should just be to get one doctor is because we know that if they'll do a good job for that doctor, all the doctors know one another. They go to country clubs together, and they show up at church and synagogue, and they're part in all sorts of organizations in their community. And so they know other doctors. So if you're doing a good job for that doctor, the referrals will come, and there's not a thing you can do to stop it.
Correct. Absolutely. Now, there's a question that's coming in. There's actually 3 questions from Karen. And Karen, we'll get to your questions here when we kind of go over what's included in the package. So I'm going to save your questions. I know you just typed those in just a moment ago, but I just want to recognize that I'm watching that and that we're seeing those questions. But we'll answer those questions when we get there, because that kind of takes us off of what we're trying to complete right here. So just be patient. We'll get to those questions to you in just a moment. So now what we want to do is talk with you how a licensee gets to that $30,000 to $35,000. Again, just seeing and just doing business with one doctor. I think, Patrick, we're going to kind of take this and break this down and be as simple as possible on this, because I think these numbers, it will resonate with people, because obviously we've all been to the doctor. We kind of know about how many patients a doctor will see in one day.
Yeah, I mean, let's take this number that we're using for this example. Now, this is just an example, folks, but we found from working with our licensees from coast to coast that they're telling us that an average primary care doctor, family doctor, can see 25 plus patients per day. Now, the reason I say plus is because I've been in the waiting room when I think there's about 25 people in there the same hour I'm supposed to see the doctor, you know. So I know, depending on the practice and how many people they have helping the doctor to see the patients, they can see 25 patients a day. So if you can go with that as a good average number, maybe a low number, then
right.
Let's work from there, Eric, and talk about the money that the doctor would receive on each one of those patients, assuming that they are billing an insurance company, and of course they don't get what they bill, but
right.
Assuming that they get a minimum amount, we kind of rounded the numbers here to make it easy for the math.
Yeah, because most people, when you go to the doctor, what are you going to spend? You know you're going to spend at least $150 to $175 just to see the doctor.
Yeah.
But we're not even going to use that number, because, as Patrick just alluded to, that might be the number that gets charged to the insurance company, but we're talking about what the doctor actually gets back from the insurance company. And average, just average, the doctor's going to get at least $100 per patient per day. So if you take that number, I mean, we're not blowing smoke here. There's no smoke and mirrors here. This is things that we know personally. I mean, we've written the checks to the doctors. We've seen these bills come in from the doctors, and we kind of know what the doctors has charged our insurance company, but we kind of also see how much it got reimbursed to the doctor. And so this is really what's called the reimbursement fee. So $100 per patient times 25 patients a day. Folks, it's just as easy as that. That's about $2,500 a day that the doctor's bringing in currently. So what we want to do is take that and say, if a doctor is getting about $100 a day per patient, well, that's $2,500 times 20 working days. And actually, Patrick, we also know that could be on the low end as well, right? I mean, sometimes there's 22 working days, sometimes there's 23 working days, but we even cut it down as much as we can, 20 working days per month.
Yeah, now let's point out that, as everybody probably assumes, that $50,000 doesn't go in the doctor's bank account, of course. That's the gross revenue that he's receiving, right? But he has a lot of overhead, right? He has the lease there on his building, all of his equipment, his insurance, all of his employees and their benefits. You know, he may not net out of that even $5,000, maybe $10,000 if he's lucky. So the point is that this is not his net. This is just a gross, and this is why some doctors are struggling right now to stay in business. They got in business because they wanted to help people, but at the same time they'd like to make a decent living at it too. And for some people, that's not a whole lot of money.
Right. I mean, what Patrick just mentioned there, that is certainly correct. So, all right. So, assuming that doctor is truly making $50,000 a month. Now, remember, you're going to make money on what you help the doctor recover. And so, remember, we're using that $50,000 as that kind of a round number. So, now let's pretend that you are one of these two people here. Either you're working from your home, or it's your spouse or your partnership, however it may be. But you're just working with one doctor. Okay. So we're keeping it simple here because we're wanting to stay with, one doctor can bring an entire reimbursement rate or, return on your investment here. So let's take your one doctor, and now let's talk about the averages of again, percentages now that you're going to be charging. So we already know that the doctor is making $2,500 a day, right, Patrick? I mean, that's what we said, 25 patients.
Times 100, right?
Yeah, 100 is $2,500. And the ABS licensees are going to average, again, charge about 6%. Now, again, that could be a little bit on that end, but Patrick, can you kind of tell us what the range there could be on the percentage?
Yeah, from coast to coast, we have found, folks, that the average that's out there runs anywhere from 5 to 8%. So we're kind of on the low end here at 6%, but we had to pick some figure to be able to come out with some figure to show you that this is the amount of money that you could be earning. 6% of the $2,500 is $150 per day that you're earning for doing that. But the good news is that that's only 25 claims that you'd be processing.
Right.
And Eric, we know 25 claims could be done in an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's not a whole lot of time people have to put in for that, is it?
Right. And if we're doing comparisons with Subway, remember, you're only going to get maybe $30,000 to $45,000 back in revenue. Your return after you spend all of your, everything that you paid out there.
Right.
And what I know about some of the people that work for Subway sandwiches, I mean, they're there, maybe 6 to 8 hours a day themselves, working their own business. Here again, this could be taking you less than 2 hours a day. So you can see the comparison of what we're trying to make there is that it truly is a really bit bigger bang for your buck here. So,
I was kind of exaggerating earlier when I talked about my friend working 80 hours a week, but he puts in about 60 hours a week. That's 10 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Yeah, and usually Subway sandwiches don't close, obviously.
Right.
Or they don't have a day off. At least here you'll have a day off here. So $150 a day. Now we're going to take that and we're going to say $150 per day. Now take that times 5 days per week. Well, that's $750 per week that you could be making. So
now, at this point, Eric, if I were watching this webinar, I would be looking at that $750 and thinking, you know what? I make more than that right now, and I don't have any headaches of owning my own business. I'm just working for. I'm punching in and punching out every day. $750 a week. It's not a whole lot of money, but folks, the reason we're doing this, remember, is just to talk about the return on your initial investment.
Right.
Our average licensee probably has 6+ clients, and some of them have dozens of clients. So you can multiply that 750 by whatever you want to. Depends on how many doctors you want and how many days a week you want to work and how many hours a day you want to work.
Absolutely. Then you take that 750 times, again, 52 weeks. You can see there that you just take these numbers, you're going to get $39,000 per year, again, with one doctor. And Patrick, we kind of, again, we look at our investment of $25,990 plus someone's travel to get here. Obviously, you got the hotel stay, you got the travel to get here.
Yeah.
This is still recouping basically all of your return on your investment so far, again, with one doctor, and still now can probably show a little bit of profit within the first year as well.
Yeah, assuming you don't have any miles to use on an airline, the airline plus the hotel usually is under $1,000 for people to come down here for that week. We feed you during the week while you're here, and the hotel helps feed you. So the real money, of course, folks, that you've invested in this business is just we're talking about just your initial investment. Of course, you might on the back end want to maybe you have to buy, well, if you've got a cell phone, of course, you can use that for your phone. We're going to show you how to use that as your business line. You don't need a fax machine nowadays. That's all electronically handled. So there's not a whole lot of investment unless you don't have a computer. You might need a computer and a printer, maybe a scanner.
Absolutely. So now we're going to look at how you can find this out on our website now. So you could go to our website, and it's under Income Potential. So you could go right here where it says Income Potential. So just go to absystems.com, and on that title bar that's right across there, you can click on Income Potential. When you get there, you'll see on the left-hand side it says Medical Billing Income Calculator, Income Replacement Calculator, Find Doctors in My Area. So we're looking at the first one right there, Medical Billing Income Calculator. We've put in the exact numbers that we just showed you. One doctor, 25 patients a day, open 5 days a week at 6% of $100 reimbursement. You click Submit. When you do that, again, that brings back that same exact number, $39,000 a year, servicing one office, bringing in, on average, again, $3,250 a month of income. That's just, like Patrick said, that's just one doctor. You could get in here and play around with however you want to in there and make the numbers and look at the numbers and put out any projections that you want to do. But this is the basic. One doctor, 25 patients a day, open 5 days a week, 6%. There's where you get the 39,000.
Yeah, just plug in your own numbers. If those numbers don't seem right to you, you can play around with that. Some people get pretty excited when they realize that, well, you know, if it only takes me a couple of hours a day to do one doctor, I'll do 4 doctors a day, and then I can multiply all these numbers by 4. And so decide what kind of revenue, what kind of income that you need, and then just make the numbers fit that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that ought to get people excited. Now, one of the things, I don't know if we can show this. I know that we saw this earlier from Adam. Adam sent out that video of talking about doctors remaining independent. And this ought to make people excited, because there is a group that has been established, an organization out there that is helping doctors remain independent and not get bought up by hospitals. So what an encouraging thing to know. Plus, you know what kind of money you can make with just 1 to 2 to 3 or 4 doctors. I mean, literally, people can replace their current income here, no doubt.
Eric, I'm gonna address the elephant in the room. Can I?
Sure.
The elephant in the room is the Republican party that's basically in charge of the government right now. And all I can say, folks, people ask us all the time, well, what about the new American Health Care Plan? I think they're calling it now, instead of ACA, the American Affordable Care Act. Anyway, whatever it is that might replace what we know of as Obamacare, folks, it doesn't affect this business whatsoever. Why? Because no matter what happens, doctors, to get paid, have to bill somebody, some entity, some government agency like Medicare or a private insurance company. They've got to bill somebody. And they don't want to do this themselves. They're forced to do it because they don't know the alternatives. They don't know how they can save money, for example, or how that you could actually increase their revenue by doing their billing for them. So it doesn't end up costing them money. They make money by outsourcing it to you. So anyway, that's a whole nother webinar, but I just thought I'd throw that in there.
That's good. All right, so let's wrap up this whole comparison here between Subway and American Business Systems. That's what we're going to do right now. And then we're going to get into what you're going to get from us for your investment with here at ABS. And then, folks, then we're going to be able to address some of your questions that have come in. But just in comparison again here, if you're investing in something like a Subway sandwich, remember, Subway, you've got to invest your initial investment plus your royalty fees, whatever else goes along with that. You know, after the first year, you're at $300,000. With ours, it's $25,990. Your return on your investment for that amount is $30,000 to $45,000, whereas the return on the investment with us is $39,000 with one doctor. And you can see that fits right in the middle between what you could be making there at Subway. And then finally, to get to your initial investment, even if we took the bottom line there, it would take you 10 restaurants to get up to your initial one, whereas here you can do one doctor to get to what we say success, and that is your return on investment.
Yeah, you know, that's an interesting concept, Eric. Success. It means different things to different people, of course.
Right.
For some people who get in this business, having 1 or 2 doctors is all they really need, replaces their current income, and they're working very few hours and have their time to be with their children and do other things. And for others who are very goal-oriented, like we have one licensee up north that, you know, he says he has $1 million in the bank right now. Now, this is after being with us, of course, for about 9 years, but he says, Patrick, I wouldn't be where I'm at because I knew nothing about this industry, nothing at all when I met you, and now I've got $1 million in the bank. So you can grow this as big as you want to, folks. It's all up to you and what your definition of success is going on inside your head.
And the thing about it is, his initial investment was $25,000, $26,000.
Right.
I mean, he didn't have to spend any more. There was no franchise fees that went along with that. So Everything else he started making after that really was all profit. So again, if it looks like it's going to take 10 restaurants to get your return on your $300,000, again, one doctor to get your return on your $26,000 investment, I mean, as you can see here, which one would you want to do? I mean, to run 10 restaurants is going to be 10 times harder than trying to find one doctor for that investment. But again, 10 restaurants, remember that's going to take you, again, to get that investment of $300,000. But imagine if you got 10 doctors, you're at $400,000, and you've still over increased your revenue. Whereas, as you can see here, it would take you to get those 10 restaurants. It would take you $3 million to open up 3 restaurants.
Wow.
This is why we're showing this. To get 10 doctors, your investment is still $25,990.
That's it. Now, I said earlier, Eric, that I would tell why our investment is that low. And the model that we've come up with, folks, or did 23 years ago when we started this company, is this. We wanted the investment to be low enough to allow most people who want to start a business to get into it with that kind of investment, and not so high that it would restrict people getting into it. But at the same time, we didn't want it to be so low that we had a lot of looky-loos, people who just wanted to, come in and see what's down here in Texas, I guess, and come through our training. We wanted to be some kind of barrier there that people had to meet. Now, the great thing is that that's not all the money we make, though. We've told you that you never pay us another dime, and that's true. But, folks, out of all the services that we provide, the medical billing, the electronic health records, and all the other ancillary services that we haven't even talked about, we will here in just a moment, all of those can bring you revenue, but they also bring revenue to ABS. In other words, on the back end, our companies, working with our technology partners, actually make money on the transactions of all of our services. So we make an ongoing revenue in addition to that initial investment. That keeps us vitally interested in your success. Yes. That's a good thing. It's the American way, right? You make money and we make money and everybody's happy.
Absolutely, and that's why we can keep that down with no franchise fees, no royalty fees. $25,990, you can still get 10 doctors, and you're gonna make $300 to $400,000 with those 10 doctors.
Now, Eric, I know you're about to go into what they get for that investment here in just a moment, but before we do that, can we address some of the questions that are out there?
Yes.
I'll start with one here from Carlton. Carlton says, what's the average amount of time that you notice that it takes for most franchisees to get their first doctor?
Good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. Carlton, a lot of people will come through our training, and because they've done a little preliminary work beforehand, they have some people lined up that they go back to immediately and talk to and sign up their first doctor in the first 30 days. There are licensees, though, who go back and take a little time to get their business set up, business cards printed, certain things, a phone number set up and so forth. And that takes a little time, plus there's life itself, right? And some of them are working this part-time. You can do that, but it's going to take you a little longer. So some of those folks, it might take 60 to 90 days before they get a client. So I would say if I were using a number, what we know from our people signing up doctors, they're going to run around 30 to 60 days, let's say 45. That's right in the middle there. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all dependent upon the individual, too. I mean, and again, how you want to get out there and make it. There are some people who have to do this part-time, as Patrick mentioned, but I think that's what you're going to find. Karen's asking here, right underneath that, Patrick, we'll just talk about this. What about the success rate? I mean, this is people, what percentage of people aren't successful, and what's the major reason why they aren't successful?
Okay, well, let me go back to that definition of success, because when you say what percentage of people aren't successful, all of our licensees are successful once they sign up their first doctor. So right. Now that doesn't mean, though, that they are going to be one of our top licensees, because we go by the old 80-20 rule that has been around for years, that 20% of your people in any organization bring you 80% of your volume, your business. The other 80% bring you the remaining 20%. So that's true with us too. There's no way to change that. That fits every model that's out there in business. Even the people that are at your church, for example, 80% of them don't do only 20% of the work, and the other 20% do 80%. So that's just a thing that holds true across the board. If I were going to give you, though, Karen, one reason why some people aren't successful, it has to do with what's going on inside their head more than anything. Because we give them the tools, we give them all the different methods, probably cover a dozen different methods during that week of training as to how to go out and get a client. But people who are not as successful as they could be, it's because they've limited themselves. You know, they have a glass ceiling up here of the type of money that they deserve to earn. We're even going to help you with that when you come to the training, because I've written a book on how to reprogram yourself for success, and I'm going to show you how to get past that mental barrier.
Yeah, and just to tag on really quickly what Patrick mentioned, you know, the success is left up to the individual. It's not that the system won't work. We know the system works because we've got. I mean, Adam said this last week. Just last month alone, we had over 70 doctors signed up on the system and are currently accelerating. So we see this on a monthly basis. We're seeing signups after signups after signups with doctors. It's not that the system won't work. It really gets down to the individual. And I think what we see, the greater success for people that we've seen come in this business, they recognize that first. This is what they say. I know I'm going to get into it what I put into it.
Right.
Those people that say those types of things, those people are going to be the most successful at this particular business.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into, so what do they get for the investment here with American Business System? So we're going to kind of go through all of this. We're going to kind of drill them down as best we can, answer some of the questions that may have come up earlier about, I think from Karen, you asked about some questions about the EMR, if a practice is already owning their own EHR. We'll kind of walk you through that as best we can here in the time that we have left. So let's talk about what you get. Well, first of all, you get a total cloud-based system. No servers, Patrick. Nobody has to maintain servers. Don't have to worry about theft of data. This is the best thing that people can find here whenever it comes down to medical billing.
Well, it is the only way to go nowadays. In fact, Microsoft has a cloud, Amazon has a cloud.
Right.
Everybody that's out there, Google, they all have cloud-based systems nowadays. And the reason for that, folks, is because that is way more secure. Think about it. Storing the data for a doctor's patients on your own computer hard drive or the doctor's hard drive is just asking for HIPAA rule violations. You know, the privacy thing there that the government has for patient privacy. And there's all kinds of reasons why you wouldn't want to do that. It doesn't make sense in today's world because the cloud is more secure than just having it on your hard drive.
Right. And the great thing about cloud-based also is whenever there's any updates or any upgrades, whether it's with the practice management system, the EMR system, the patient portal, or the clearinghouse, it's all done for you. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to go to the doctor's office because they got a server-based system and load the updates or the upgrades there. I love this illustration that we've come up with, Patrick, because this really shows the continuity of how everything works simultaneously together. And a lot of people don't know this, but if your current doctor doesn't have a patient portal already, they're already behind the curve. But ours has a complete patient portal that allows the patients to check in, just like if you're going to go pre-check in at the airport. You can do that at home, answer all the questions, all of your information, you know, everything they have you write out when you get to the doctor's office. You can do all of that online. All of that filters into the doctor's EMR system, which is called EMRX. When the doctor gets through seeing you as that patient, that information is automatically put into the practice management system for you as the medical billing company to process that. And when you process that claim, you create this claim, it's going to go through our clearinghouse simultaneously, which is inside the practice management system. And Patrick, this is the uniqueness of our system here. All other systems are a third party.
Yeah, I noticed Karen asked the question, what's the clearinghouse do you use? Well, this is the hard part to answer that question. Is yes, there's about a dozen different clearinghouses out there that can clear basically check for errors and make sure that everything is the way it should be before it's forwarded to the insurance company. But folks, we were a clearinghouse at the very beginning and evolved into having our own practice management and electronic health record system. So we are the clearinghouse, and that's why our rejection rate, Karen, is less than 2%. Now, that's unheard of in the industry. Most medical billing companies will tell you whatever clearinghouse they're using, they're probably getting anywhere from 10 to 30% a rejection rate on the first pass-through of the claims. So that's the hard part about it. The name of our electronic health record system is right there on the screen back in the bottom left-hand corner there. That's the EMRX is what we have called our electronic health record system. And by the way, all of them interact with one another. So if you run across a doctor who has an EHR already, you can have that plugged into ours and import the data for the patient's data right into ours, if that's what you want to do. So they all talk to one another nowadays. Absolutely.
And the great thing about it is, if you can kind of follow what Patrick and I have been talking to you about, with everything being simultaneously working together, you can imagine this. You as a patient can see your doctor can get the claim to the biller can run it through the clearinghouse today, and if it's done before 8 p.m. Pacific within our system, it's going to the insurance company today. Patrick, there is no other way to get an original claim that a doctor's seen a patient today to the payer the same day other than our system here. Yeah. That's hard to beat. That's incredibly hard to beat.
We see doctors get paid on a claim that we file for them within an average of about 14 days. But we've seen it as little as a week. Literally, the claim's filed on Monday, the money's in the doctor's bank account on Friday.
Yes, absolutely. There's no doubt about
it. Folks, this is cutting edge stuff. I mean, it is the leading edge technology that's out there. Now, we don't sell a software system or an electronic health record system. What we sell is a method, a system of you building a business based on helping doctors with their revenue. But of course, you have to have the software system to be able to do that.
Yeah, very good point. The last thing we want anybody to do is go into software sales.
Right.
You're not reselling this to doctors. This is your vehicle. This is your platform to use to do that. And again, we're trying to showcase a little bit what you're getting here with all what you're getting here for the $25,990. So you're getting the what's called the billing system or the practice management system, iClaim, along with the EMRX. And you can see, folks, this is all driven by the internet here, so you have a great way of bringing all this. Everything that you see over to the left, too, is part of your marketing. You're going to get this as your marketing. So all these flyers that you're seeing here are marketing tools as we're going to kind of go through this. Patrick, here's some incredible things about the two pieces that we just talked about, the iClaim and the EMRX. I mean, this is everything that a doctor would absolutely ever need in their office.
Hey, that certification that you show there on the screen, Eric, it says certified. By the way, that's talking about the fact that we've been certified as what they call stage 2 compliant with electronic health records. However, somebody asked a question about that and said, I think it's Jamie here, says, are you certified through AAPC or AHIMA? Jamie, the interesting thing is that those certification organizations that are out there are simply groups of people who got together and said, let's certify folks. So we certify you as a certified medical revenue manager through an organization called the Medical Revenue Management Association of America. And so we're doing the certification through an organization that was set up just for our licensees. It carries just as much weight by putting those letters after your name, CMRM, as any of the other letters there that you're suggesting. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so through the cloud-based system, the web-based system, you can see that you got a lot of flexibility here. I mean, the doctor can do what's called their mobile charting, which you saw just on this screen right back here. The doctors can literally use an iPad to do their charting, to see their patients. It's very affordable. It's customizable. Obviously, going to help increase the revenue because guess what? We're running everything in real time. And so we don't want to spend a whole lot of time, but the ones there right in the middle could be some of the most important. It's all U.S.-based customer service, and it's web-based connected. So, folks, this is what we're talking about here. Here's some of the other the awards that have been done. Enact and is another level. The one that's right down the middle is another level of making sure that everything's HIPAA compliant. So we meet several criterias here with our organization. So along with iClaim and ERX, Patrick, I mean, we're going to start running out of time here pretty quickly, but we're going to kind of go through real quickly some of the other services that go along with what we have here at ABS.
Yeah, these are ancillary services, folks, that are all optional. You don't have to offer any of these, of course, unless you just want to. But we've come up with these because we've had licensees come to us and said, hey, this doctor asked for this particular thing. Can we do this? So we've offered all kinds of things, starting with this one here. A big problem for doctors is the patient payments. Doctors don't collect but about 50% of all the money that's billed to patients on a private basis, cash pay. And so we've got a system that actually goes and collects that money. Now, you're not a collection agency, and you're never on the phone with anybody, but there is an automated system we have, an online system that will actually send out letters to the patients reminding them of the money that they owe. And this collects, by the way, about 5 times as more than any collection agency could ever collect anyway for the doctor, and it's brought in millions of dollars for doctors nationwide.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, and that's what you want to be able to talk about. And then again, Patrick, doctors need some help with their own marketing.
Yes, we have a system called AutoCard that actually sets up. You can set up for the doctor a series of postcards or greeting cards that are actually mailed out to the patients, reminding of their appointments and asking for referrals and reminding them of all sorts of things, educating the patient on different topics. This is a wonderful tool that the doctor can use that you can make money off of providing that service, but you can also use this system for following up on the contacts that you make with doctors in your area. We'll show you how to use it as a marketing tool for yourself.
ChoicePay actually just got integrated into our iClaim platform, but it's still helping the doctor collect money. Again, this is just a new way of helping our doctors collect all that they can. Patrick, I've heard from some of our licensees, and some that are pretty close to us that we know of, that found out that the doctor's offices wasn't collecting all of their co-pays for the particular doctor, and how it's just amazing. Here's money that's sitting right in front of them, and sometimes they don't even collect that. So there's a way, again, within our system to do ChoicePay. These next two, Patrick, I'm going to kind of let you talk about, because this all has to do with the big scary word out there in medical billing, and that's the medical coding.
Yeah, Audit Guard is a great service, folks, because Medicare can come along and basically audit any doctor's office at any time. Just out of the blue, they can walk in literally off the street and say, we're here to audit your records. Now, what they're looking for is violations. The doctor could be using codes for various procedures that are not accurate. They're overcoding, they call it. And because of that, the Medicare can fine them up to $10,000 per infraction. So it can get very expensive for a doctor. So they're afraid of that. This Audit Guard protects the doctor from that by doing an audit before Medicare shows up, and it shows due diligence on the part of the doctor in preparing for that type of audit from Medicare. Then there's CodeRight, another service that we offer through our organization for our licensees who have questions about codes. Maybe doctors don't know exactly what codes they should be using. We can provide that service. So folks, you don't have to know anything about codes. Don't think that you have to go and learn something about coding to get into this business, because all the codes, first of all, are built into our electronic health record system that the doctor will be using. And if they've got questions, we have certified medical coders on staff that can answer those questions for you, for the doctor.
Exactly. And then the last one here is iDocs Now. Patrick, I know that we use this here at ABS.
Yeah, if you come down to visit us at our home office here in Fort Worth, you can ask to see our file cabinets. And the girl up front, the lady up front, will ask you, what do you mean? Because we don't have file cabinets. We literally have no paper in our office. Everything is electronic. And this system that you can sell to a doctor's office allows them to take their existing records that they have behind them, in all those files that you see illustrated there on the left there. You can take all those files and put them into this online, cloud-based, 24/7 They can get to any document they want. They can search it. They can print it out. They can email it. All HIPAA compliant. It's a wonderful system. I don't know what we'd do without it. And some of our licensees swear by this.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last one is our Physician's Toolbox. And this one's interesting because, folks, there are other services that doctors are going to need. You can kind of see it on the flyer there to your left. There's some things here that the doctor's going to need, what's called credentialing, some meaningful use information, contract negotiations, transcriptions, on-site consulting, auto deposit solutions. We've got all of that wrapped up in what's called the Physician's Toolbox. And again, these are services that you can offer the doctor, and then just get back with us here at ABS with Chad here, who is our director of support, and get you involved with people that can actually do these things, these processes too. Again, you're going to make money, ABS makes money, and obviously you get to service the doctors properly.
Yeah. Wow, Eric, here we are. It's almost time to wrap this up. Let's just talk about a few other things. The marketing materials, folks, we've spent over $100,000 in developing the professional marketing materials, flyers, postcards, all sorts of things that are available to you and that are included in your licensing fee. You get over 2,000 pieces of these professionally designed marketing pieces. You also have a website that's provided to you that you could spend $2,500, $3,000 probably for a website. We give that for you and put your name and logo on that website with all your contact information, email addresses that are included with that. That's all a part of our system as well. And of course, we also do what are called marketing demos. Eric, I'll let you talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, this is where we are working with you in getting your doctor. Matter of fact, I've got a couple that I'm doing as an overflow for next week. I'm working with 2 licensees, one here in Texas, I think another one out of, I don't remember where they're out of, but these are licensees that have already gone through the processes with the doctors. Now we're at the demo stage with them. This is where we get involved. We answer all the questions. Patrick, we're literally closing the deal when we get them here to this area with doing these demos. And we're going to show this to you. Really, it's how easy you get this set up. We've got a licensee support site where you go there, you click on iClaim, you click on Request a Demo, you put in all of the information that's right there, and then we schedule that with you. I mean, all through this, it's a simple process of getting you and us in front of your doctor. This is I don't know what price tag you put this on, Patrick.
No, you can't. That's why we're showing you this is all a part of that $25,990 investment, folks. It also includes lifetime ongoing training. That's right. You heard me right. We do not charge any of our licensees. And Eric, we're doing these about once a week now, right? These ongoing licensee webinars that are about an hour long. We do these on a regular basis for our licensees at no additional cost, folks. That is all a part of our licensee support site. And Eric, I bet we have over 150 hours of training that's already posted out there, and we're continuing to do an hour or another 4 hours a month for that. We also provide a book that was co-written by myself and a doctor, Dr. Vicki Rackner, on the new thriving medical practice. Folks, this is a marketing book that you can actually use. I think I've got one right here. And as you can see, it's just a little paperback book. It's very nicely done. And look at this. You can actually have your name on the front cover of the book along with us. Talk about credibility. It doesn't get any better than this. We'll put your name right there on the cover, as you can see there illustrated. It's also on the title page right there in the middle. And on the right-hand side, you're seeing the second page of the foreword that you will write for us, with our help, of course, that has your contact information. So it's right printed inside the book, folks. It doesn't get any better than that from a marketing tool standpoint. That right there alone, by the way, Eric, is worth $26,000.
Yeah, that coupled with the demo is all worth all that. And then again, all the ongoing training that gets here. Plus, you get live training, and we're not talking about online training. We're talking about real kneecap to kneecap type of training with someone who's in the business. That's Cynthia Anderson. She is a licensee of ours. She's there coaching you all along the way during that first week of training.
Yeah, and folks, that's an 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. I think we wrap up a little early on Friday, but the point is Folks, this is a lot of information given to you in a 1-week period. You get to ask all kinds of questions. You hear questions from other people that you wished you had asked. And at the end of that, you're also certified, as we mentioned earlier, as a certified medical revenue manager by the Medical Revenue Management Association of America. So again, we know we're going through this fairly fast, folks, but be sure and ask your ABS coach, your business coach, the person who sent you the email inviting you to this webinar, if we didn't get to some of your questions today, because I know we skipped a few there, Eric.
Well, one of the last things I wanted to say, and again, this is difficult to explain, but 23 years of business experience here with ABS, folks, you're going to get instant credibility with us, because a lot of people do ask, well, what about references? Can I get references whenever I got a doctor who's wanting references? Yes, we have references for you, doctor references that they can actually speak to real doctors. Even though you personally don't have a doctor, we've got doctors that other doctors can talk to, and then the demos and everything else that we have going with you, that's included, and then the 100% money back guarantee, Patrick.
Yes, and folks, I don't know how to explain this, because people ask how in the world could you stay in business with 100%? Couldn't people come to your training and get their money back? Yes, but folks, hardly anybody ever does that. About a handful of people over the 23-year period that we've been in business have asked for that money back, and here's why. Because at the end of that week, you realize, it dawns on you that this is for real, and there is some real money to be made in this. But there it is in writing. If for any reason at the end of the workshop you don't believe this business is right for you, that's up to you to decide that. We will give you a full refund of that $25,990.